Hello, I'm Ryan Rhodes, the Leckey specialist for Sunrise Medical in the Southeast region. Today we're going to be going over one of our offerings through our Leckey line of our pediatric seating. This is our MyGo seat. Age ranges that we use for this often are 3 to 14 approximately. Of course, we are dictated more so on size and weight of the kiddo that we're working with. Max height range is 66 inches between the two sizes, but at the size 2, the top is 66 inches. We can accommodate up to 132 pounds. So not so much an early intervention product, but more of our adolescence type age before we get into adulthood. We're going to be going over our MyGo seat here with our high-low base, as well as later introducing our mobility base with our Zippy line. You'll notice that we can transfer our activity seat from our high-low base to our mobility base very simply without changing any other interfaces. Our MyGo seat has some very unique postural positioning systems, including our pelvic positioning system that we have on this unit here, our pelvic cradle, a 4-point cradle for around our pelvis here with pull strings on all different angles. So if we have an individual that has rotated pelvis of some sort that's reducible that we can bring back to neutral, all we have to do is once we get them in here, pull a strap and really twist those hips back around. What we're trying to do is really add as much proximal stability to increase our distal function, a common sentence that we see often in our seating and mobility clinics. On top of the uniqueness of our cradle, which is one of a kind for our MyGo, our seat can accommodate windswept deformities up to 10 degrees in multiple directions, fixed abduction if necessary with the use of our femoral guides here. We can also accommodate multiple degrees of scoliosis, hip obliquities, pelvic rotations, anterior and posterior pelvic tilts, all features that I'll be going over as I start to disassemble this product for us today. We can also accommodate severe hamstring contractures, as we commonly see in some of our populations. We can accommodate individual leg hamstring contractures, leg length discrepancies, all sorts of different postural deformities. Very exciting product that we have. Before going into some of our key positioning adjustments, I do want to address our high-low base here. While on our high-low base, we have 25 degrees of posterior tilt, as well as 10 degrees of anterior tilt, for when we really need purposeful movements, especially in school while we're feeding, anything of that sort. Once releasing the pin on the high-low base, it's just a small foot pedal that allows us to get down to floor level. If we are in school at a low level table, if we are trying to get out with some of our peers for some social involvement, great activity. But now we're at home and we need to sit at a taller table to eat with the family, we can get back up there just as easy, okay? So some key adjustments for our MyGo seat here and how we can accommodate all the different postural deformities that we spoke about previously. I'm going to remove these covers here to kind of really get down to the bones of all the positioning aspects. I also like to do this to show how easy it is to remove pads, to throw in the washer if necessary. And don't forget that you can also wipe all of this off. So on the bottom of our seat here, we have 2 cam locks that have a button on the side that we have to release, okay? No tool necessary to do that. After we do so, that allows us to grow our femoral length for additional seat depth if necessary. We can accommodate that windswept deformity that we mentioned earlier. We can accommodate fixed abduction if necessary, or fixed adduction. The femoral guides here, of course, we're not trying to correct any postural deformities. We're just trying to envelop to ensure that we don't get any further pelvic deformities, no extra hot spots loading up or anything like that. Once we find out where we need our femoral legs or seat depth set, we'll just lock down that cam lock. Makes it very easy to grow in the field. As you know, commonly kids grow quickly, and that's something that we need to accommodate with all of our products. And again, no tools necessary. An accommodation for our hamstring contractures if necessary, it's just a 5mm wrench. All of our Leckey products will be sent with a multi-tool that I'm using today just to illustrate how easy it is to use just one tool to do all the adjustments. Underneath here on the attachment on the seat, we just have to loosen 5mm. That allows us to adjust the angle of each leg individually. So if we have a left hamstring contractor that is really pulling that foot up underneath of us, we can accommodate that as necessary. On the flip side, if we have an individual that has a quad contractor, that their leg is fixed out in front of them, perhaps maybe a surgical intervention of some sort has caused that, we can also fix that forward. One thing that I like to do often when I'm going over these products is to illustrate how we can accommodate some pretty significant leg length deformities. For math purposes, we'll just say one leg is 2 inches longer, 1 inch in the femoral portion and 1 inch in the tibia lower leg aspect. So to accommodate that, very easy. We're going to loosen this cam lock, bring that out 1 inch to accommodate for that leg length discrepancy. And then on the bottom here, we have a track for what we call universal adjustability. Lengthen that if necessary, and tighten it down. So we've accommodated for the upper leg length discrepancy and lower. We didn't have to decide a difference on that. With the cushion on here, you'll notice that it's not necessary to have any kind of notches or leg length deformity in the cushion added. It grows with the seat, so no issues with that. To accommodate for any plantar or dorsiflexion contractures, no tool necessary. There's a small knob under here that you just twist in different directions to go to the plantar flexion or dorsiflexion if necessary. Underneath our foot plates, we have just a hand knob here that allows us to loosen, slide, and adjust the different angles of the foot plates. Leckey has 3 foot plate sizes, all of which can be easily interchanged between all products. You'll notice that when you receive a foot plate of any kind for a product, it'll come with multiple link bolts. Those bolts are to be used for different products. You'll notice that the foot plates on each product is a little bit different in thickness. So we've accommodated our lower extremity contractures, any kind of leg length discrepancy and windswept deformities. So now we're going to kind of move on up to the thoracic aspect. You know, we always start with the pelvis and build up from there. Easy adjustability in the back angle. It's a 5 millimeter back here. Just loosen this. And that allows us to accommodate different hip positions that we need. It's also measured on the side for angle adjustability. I know we're getting past COVID at this point, but a lot of times we've been doing a lot of telehealth evaluations. Perhaps ATP couldn't be there at the time. This makes it very easy for a therapist to say, we need this hip angle set at this. You don't have to make so many adjustments in the field. It allows you to get that preset before you show up at someone's home. We'll lock that in. Backrest height is built into the back as well. So it's just 2 5 millimeters here, common theme. It's nice that everything is metric. Just loosen those up, and that allows us to grow the backrest and height. Quite a bit of adjustment on that built in. I'm gonna raise this up and lock it in. I've taken the cover off of our shoulder support here. Standard on our size 2, necessary to be ordered for our size 1. You'll notice on the order form, it does explain that pretty clearly. This can be retrofitted or taken off if necessary. It can be used for multiple reasons, not only to grow the height of the backrest, but also to, as you can see, improve some protraction of the shoulders, depending on what activities that we want the child to do. Commonly, we'll see therapists in schools, they want that child forward engaged with those shoulders forward for active bilateral reaching. Easy adjustability on top here. Very similar to the Adjust-A-Plush adjustability. We just have one screw that we loosen, and that allows for any angle adjustability. Also on the backrest, we have a height, width, and angle adjustability of our thoracic laterals. We have swingway features that allows for easy transfers. To change height and angle, it only takes a 5 millimeter, again, not 6. So width, height, and angle adjustability to really capture that curve on that for our scoliosis patients. We want to make sure that we get that 3-point contact. It's not often very parallel to each other, but we can really catch that rib shape a little bit higher, and then also put a hip block in there with the use of that pelvic cradle to really get that pelvic postural support, as well as enveloping the shape without allowing it to get any worse. One awesome feature that I'm a fan of, especially as a seating therapist, is the adjustability of the posterior sacral support. On the back, on the sides, they're a little hidden here, but a size 5 millimeter will allow us to loosen that plate. And with that plate loosened, we can tip it back to accommodate for any kind of lordosis or anterior pelvic tilt forward to correct in that aspect. We can even rotate it and close one side down to really make sure we get that flush contact with the back of that sacrum. So as you know, we've been able to accommodate that windswept deformity with the femoral supports with those cam locks, but that degree of angle that we have there may not always be enough to completely envelop that whole shape. We might still be loading up on that left side of that sacrum, even though we're accommodating that left windswept deformity. We can rotate that sacral support, really increase that contact in the back, and eliminate the risk of hot spots. Just another angle of adjustability for the same deformity. Our MyGo seat has a tray feature that we can receive in here. Angle adjustability of the tray is built into the frame. You'll notice in some of our Leckey lines, the tray angle adjustability is built into the tray or the product itself. The MyGo is here with just this wing nut. Of course, that's for when we need to tilt back, but still have a tray and not spill our snack in our lap or anything like that. We can adjust that very, very easily. Our headrest, we have 2 Leckey options. We have our contour here. We also have a lateral headrest with, a planar headrest with lateral supports that we can adjust widthwise. One important thing to remember with Leckey is that all of our Leckey products can accept Whitmire headrests as well. So if you have someone that needs a little bit more of an aggressive lateral or even possibly anterior support for their headrest, we can always put that on here, no problem. One thing to remember when utilizing Whitmire headrest options for our Leckey line, it is important to get the Pro Series hardware. Just keep that in mind. It is something that we can do, but just something that will save you a headache down the road. We do have some secondary postural support options that I don't have here with us. We have a harness option. Most commonly used, especially for our swingway laterals, is just a chest prompt here. But if you need more of a butterfly style harness or anything similar to that, we can definitely accommodate that. Difference of if you don't need someone that has a pelvic cradle need or any pelvic rotation that we're trying to fix or reduce, we do have a more standard pelvic positioning strap, 2-point. It does have a good angle to give us a little bit of a pull to pull us back into the seat, as well as we can put some hip blocks down here that are typically used with that cradle. As you see, these are attached to some adjustable width aspects for the pelvic positioning strap that allows that adjustability for those hip blocks if necessary. As mentioned here, we have our mobility base. As of right now, this is our Zippy TS. To remove the seat off of our high-low base, put this back to get a better angle. We have a small pin just inside and behind this cam lock. We're gonna pull it out and turn it 90 degrees so that it's not fitting in there. There is one release mechanism, a handle underneath that we're gonna lift up, pull, and take off, okay? All right, so to put our seating onto our mobility base after we've taken it off our high-low, we have this release mechanism here, and you'll see in the posterior part of the seat a mold that we straddle on top of this back post here. clip in, ready to go. And then you want to make sure you pull your pin underneath to make sure that you can't pull that release lever. Our MyGo seat goes onto a 16-inch wide wheelchair. Easily able to put a pan and change that hardware off necessary if we need to switch back to some J seating if necessary. If we've outgrown this seating system and we need a little bit more accommodation or more of our typical seating solutions, easy fix on that aspect. Okay, in conclusion to our introduction to our MyGo seat, just to reiterate how important and unique our pelvic cradle is for pelvic positioning. That in conjunction with our lower extremity positioning can really accommodate and give us a neutral and stable pelvis, again, for that distal activity. We, of course, have our zippy line that we are mirroring with our Leckey items for a mobility base, something that we're very, very excited about. And of course, if you all have any questions at all about any Leckey information that we have covered today or any other items, please reach out to your local Sunrise account manager or email us at usleckeyteam@sunmed.com. Thank you.